News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Here's your winning message to how to close. I am amazed at the horrific closing comments by the Kamala surrogates. Listen to this winner by the Hillary, who is, I literally think Kamala's going to be the Hillary part deux when she loses to Trump, which I believe she will. You never know, but I believe she will. Listen to
and,
this.
One other thing that you'll see next
tonight on Fake News CNN. Listen to this.
And, one other thing that you'll see next week, Caitlin, is Trump actually reenacting the Madison Square Garden rally in 1939. I write about this in my book. President Franklin Roosevelt was appalled that neo-Nazis, fascists in America were lining up to essentially pledge their support for the kind of government that they were seeing in Germany. So I don't think we can ignore it. And, one other thing that you'll see next week, Caitlin, is Trump actually...
That is the funniest thing I've heard all day today. Oh my gosh, this is your close. His Madison Square Garden rally on Sunday is the Nazi Germany rally in Times Square in 1939. Oh yeah, we all remember that one. Oh, we're terrified. All those people wearing Nazi armbands on Sunday night. Oh my gosh, they're going to be yelling Heil Hitler. And why are all the Jews lining up to be taken by voting for Hitler? They're voting in a greater number than it's Richard Nixon for Hitler. Oh my gosh! This is like the Jews wanting to go and die. Oh my gosh! He's brainwashed the Jews. This is Hitler's best dream in the world. There's no fighting. They want their own extermination by voting for Trump. Oh, my God. Oh, humanity. And then this strong closer from Barack Hussein Obama that Trump has literally turned into a commercial tonight. He literally takes this segment from tonight's rally, wherever it was with former President Hussein Obama. He takes it and then puts on his little cap at the end for that this is a paid ad. Listen to this.
Too many folks here in Georgia and across the country are struggling to pay the bills. We all know the price of everything from housing to health care to groceries is still too high, and it hurts.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Hey, we know you're struggling. Hey, groceries, high prices. Hey, we know that. I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. In other words, yeah, that's exactly right. Look what you did. Hey, we get it. Go vote. And what did that black man say on CNN or MSNBC in a panel yesterday about when Hussein Obama told him to go vote, get off your butt, and you have a problem with women?
Deeply offended. I was deeply offended, and it felt like a moment where it's like, you N-words better get in line and do what we say. And it felt like him as the czar of the Democratic Party coming down to say, go get these N-words in line.
That's exactly how I think it did, but there he says it in a way that's more powerful and succinct than I ever could have. So that was just, this is a wonderful night. And let's play her disastrous town hall. I'm asking you right now, and you can chime in right now. Lines wide open. You'll be able to pop on right away. Was Kamala's town hall a disaster last night from what you've heard and what you've seen? And I'm going to play some more right now. But I want you to chime in at 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Was Kamala's town hall a disaster from what you've seen? Chime in right now, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. We'll pop you on right away. Okay, here is more. Let's play this one.
I mean, you did raise your hand saying in a debate when asked if border crossing should be decriminalized, but obviously that is not your position.
I never intended, nor will I ever allow America to have a border that is not secure.
She never intended to raise her hand when she said, I don't want to decriminalize illegals coming across the border. She raised her hand in a debate and said that. He goes, she says, I never intended that.
Obviously that is not your position.
I never intended, nor will I ever allow.
Did somebody make her raise her hand 4 years ago? This is amazing. Was there somebody with a gun behind the stage? Oh, my gosh.
America to have a border that is not secure. I believe we need to deal with illegal immigration. There needs to be consequences, which is why part of my plan that I have outlined, and again, please go to KamalaHarris.com. Sorry to throw a website on you, but why not? And you will see that part of my plan includes what we need to do to actually do more as it relates to putting resources in, including increasing penalties.
Here's another gem from last night's town hall on CNN.
Grocery prices have gone up quite a bit in the last 4 years. Yeah. And some people blame former President Trump. Some people blame President Biden. Who would you say is correct? And what would you do to bring prices down for Americans?
Thank you, Eric. And you're absolutely right. You know it. I know it. I think most Americans know it. Price of groceries is still too high. And we need to address it in a number of ways. One of my aspects of doing what we need to do to bring down the cost of living for working people and the middle class in America is to address the issue of grocery prices. Part of my background and how I come to it is probably a new approach grounded in a lot of my experiences as a former attorney general, where I took on price gouging. And part of my plan is to create a new approach that is the first time that we will have a national ban on price gouging.
Focused a lot more on Donald Trump, I think it's fair to say, than she did on many specifics in terms of what she would do.
Well, I'll just tell you what I'm hearing from people who I have been talking to, and that is that if her goal was to close the deal, they're not sure she did that. And, you know, some people have asked, is she being held to a different standard? Maybe. But that's maybe the world that she's living in. And on the question of who she is, people are understanding that a little bit more. But what she will do, the question about her legislative priorities, name one. There wasn't one. You know, some more of her personality and her sort of character questions about your weaknesses or what mistakes did you make? Not necessarily the answers there.
Oh, yeah. What mistakes have you made? Is there one mistake you can name? No, there's not.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life or in your life in the last 4 years, that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes, and they range from, you know, if you've ever parented a child, you know you make lots of mistakes. In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
What?
When she doesn't want to answer a question, her habit is to kind of go to word salad city. And she did that on a couple of answers. One was on Israel. Anderson asked a direct question, would you be stronger on Israel than Trump? And there was a 7-minute answer, but none of it related to the question he was asking.
That was the guru of Barack Hussein Obama's 2-term presidency, David Axelrod, saying she doesn't know the question. She gives you a word salad because she can't answer it. So you had CNN's Dana Bash. You had CNN's, what was it, Jake Tapper, I think it was? It's one of those guys. And then you had Axelrod all saying how bad it was. No one said it was good on any of those folks, and they're all Trump haters. So there you go. I have more though. You got to hear this. There's one. Then the one I'm going to play up coming up next is one you have to hear. I call it "This Poor Woman," and it's not Kamala, the poor woman. It's. Do you remember when you were a kid and your friend's mom was really looked worn out, man, like worn down, like that this poor woman. Like she's asking the question of Kamala, and she really is like intent. But I'm looking at her. And at one point in her life, she probably was an attractive woman, but she's worked so hard and tirelessly at being that mom to the point and being that wife that her face and her body and her mannerisms, no fault to her. I'm not attacking her. Don't hear what I'm not saying. She's been beaten out. Her face is wrinkly. She looks defeated. Her hair's a mess. And she's earnestly, she's got these really odd glasses, though. I'm not making fun of her. I'm not picking on her, by the way. I'm not. She looks haggard, not because she's ugly or nasty or I'm trying to hurt her feelings, but because she looks like she has just served so much that she's never done anything for herself. She's one of those moms that is a real mother, that is like a serious person to be taken. And Kamala, and she's wearing the glasses are these modern ones that are like bright light purple, and she means to be well, but it's like, oh, you look horrible, madame. But I don't want to rip her. I'm just talking about what I see here. And I see that wrinkled, dour, hardworking mom who's earnestly asking, like, can you give me a crumb? And she's not acting dramatic, though. I think she might even be a Kamala type voter, but she's like, please, can you give me an answer? And she's not mad at her. She's not trying to set her up. And she's looking in earnest, and Kamala doesn't tell her anything. And you're going to hear it next. And that's why I call it this poor woman. This poor woman, so beaten down, so haggard. She only wants a crumb. She's not mad at Kamala. She wants to vote for her. And she's looking at her, and she's like, she's hoping for something, and she actually almost thinks maybe she's getting something, but she's literally getting nothing. That's why I call that this soundbite. This poor woman. You're going to hear it yourself. You're going to hear it yourself. There's like 3 or 4 more sound bites. You have to hear them. My question for you is this. Was Kamala's town hall a disaster from what you've seen and what you're hearing tonight? 800, would it have been better if she just didn't even do it last night? This was the big one, trying to get moderates and such. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Also, you're going to hear the doom and gloom that she is presenting for her closing instead of Trump's. She broke it, I'm going to fix it. You're going to hear, let's see, the taxes. Can you give me the answers on taxes? Are people over 400,000 still going to get taxed? And she can't answer it. She says it's complicated instead. She just won't even answer it. And you had all this time you could do the wall stuff where you, I'm sorry, not the wall, but you could have gotten these numbers down on illegals that you're bragging about now 3 years ago. Why didn't you do it? And she won't answer it. So many things you're going to hear next. And my questions. Lines are wide open for you to chime in right now. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Was Kamala's town hall a disaster from what you've been hearing and seeing? And would she have been better off just not even doing it, maybe hiding? That's next on the Chris Kroc Show. It's 19 minutes after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Here's the woman I was talking about, and I call this particular soundbite, this poor woman. And it's not because she's, when I say these descriptions, I'm not trying to hurt her, rip on her, or offend her or anyone, but she looks haggard because she's done tireless service to the point where it's like, boy, this one, I'm sure one time she was attractive, but she's allowed life to beat her down so horribly in her service, and she's looking up for a meager crumb. She probably wants to vote for Kamala by the way she looks, but I feel bad because it's like this woman's been beaten down so badly that she looks like one of those poor ladies when you go over to your friend's house, like, gosh, that woman, I feel so sorry for the husband. She's nice and everything, but gosh, she is ugly. Now, and she wasn't ugly. You know what I'm saying? She's miserable. But she keeps serving, which is why she's a wonderful person. But it's like one of these types of mothers, wives, is coming up looking hopefully like Fievel the Mouse as a new immigrant here into New York from Europe, where they say there's no cats in America, all that stuff. The streets are lined with gold. Remember that great movie, Fievel the Mouse? And it's like Fievel looking up for a crumb in the movie. And that's this woman I feel so bad for. Here's this poor woman asking Kamala, hoping for an answer, and she gets, I think, nothing. I think she gets a word salad. And I think I couldn't tell if she looked like she may have been satisfied by a morsel, like a crumb of a crumb. Not even a crumb she got. Look. Here, hold on, I gotta hit the button.
One major policy goal that required congressional action.
I got to start that over with. Something's wrong with the chart.
My question is this. If you could accomplish only one major policy goal that required congressional action, what would it be and why?
Well, there's not just one. I have to be honest with you, Carol. There's a lot of work that needs to happen, but let's. I think that maybe part of this point how I think about it is we've got to get past this era of politics and partisan politics slowing down what we need to do in terms of progress in our country. And that means working across the aisle. I've done that before. We did it around whether it be what we were able to accomplish with the bipartisan infrastructure deal or some of the work that we have done in terms of dealing with gun safety. But we've got to work across the aisle. And it is my commitment to work with Democrats, with Republicans, with independents to deal with a number of issues, whether it be what we need to do in terms of housing and creating legislation that creates incentives for that, what we need to do to reinstate the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do, whether it be what...
It goes on, but there's no specific one thing that she could answer. This is News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make that a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 3 lines open. Let's go right now to David in Dallas. WBAP, hello.
Hey, how you doing, Chris?
Good, sir.
Hey, I'm telling you, last night was horrible. But it's the typical Kamala Harris. She's horrible. I can't believe that she's even at this level. She's an appointed fool, and we need to get rid of her, period. If people love America, they'll send her out of Washington. Don't put her in the office of the presidency. It is horrible. It's totally horrible.
I think a lot of people they keep seeing what they are looking for, and they don't see anything. And the more they see of her, the more they don't like it. And that's really what happened in the Democrat primary. She literally didn't get one vote in the Democrat primary 4 years ago. She dropped out before South Carolina, the overwhelmingly, well, not overwhelmingly, but massively black state, and she literally didn't have 1 point. She couldn't even get 1 point out of 100 points for the vote heading into it on the polls. It was unbelievable. And so
it's incredible. I mean, and people are overlooking that. It's incredible. And she can't even answer like you had that lady. She asked just one thing that you would have to complete through Congress. She couldn't even nail down one thing.
See, there's that, there's this. She can't say, the first thing I would do is this with Congress. I mean, you should know that. It's amazing.
Yeah, and here's the thing. She was so bent up on this abortion issue.
Yeah.
Why didn't she even say, I would work on Roe versus Wade?
Yes. I mean, anything. We might not agree with it, but that's exactly right. I appreciate it. So she does not have a direct focus on 1, 2, 3, and that's what you need to do if you're a leader, and she doesn't have that. That's good for us, bad for her. I've got so much more coming up next. I've got about 3 more on these. I've got the wall before. Why didn't you do with the lowering the immigration numbers like you have lately before the wall? Why did you wait till after you tried to do the wall? There's so many more. You're going to hear them coming up next. I'm asking you on this town hall, was Kamala's town hall a disaster? And from what you've seen, and would it have been better if she never did it? The polls still continue out from the Wall Street Journal, brand new poll today that are spell bad news for her. I'll share the latest on that in the granular stuff in a moment. That's coming up next. Our number is 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. All that's coming up, as I just said, 33 after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. All lines open for you. And we're talking about the town hall last night with Kamala. How bad did she do? I mean, it was... Dana Perino said it was like all night long. She's like, I actually was looking for something to say she was strong in, but she said it was like all night long. She kept stepping on a rake. She would step on a rake, look over here, step on the rake, then step over here, step on the rake over here. That's all she kept doing, is what she said. And let's play some more. Maybe you can decide. Here's she. Actually, before I play the weaknesses, I'm going to do a little bonus here. This is her when she ran 4 years ago about the wall. And then it's right afterwards you'll hear what she said last night. So actually this is from last night, audio from last night. The first part is from 4 years ago, and then compared to the last night, you'll hear 4 years ago and last night from Tucker, what do you call it? Not Tucker, but CNN Town Hall.
Let me be very clear. I'm not going to vote for a wall under any circumstances. I am not for a wall. They're not jumping over walls. So the idea that we're going to sell this thing to the American public and require the taxpayers of our country to pay $5 billion for something that will not deliver what he is suggesting we need is ridiculous, and I will not support it.
It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I'm not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything. I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
So she won't say anything about that, what she'll do. That's one. Here's another one. This one's fantastic. Again, I'm asking you, was Kamala's town hall a disaster from what you're hearing tonight and what you've seen on this? Would she have been better off hiding and not doing town hall last night? And by the way, she took off all day yesterday on the campaign trail, did nothing. And instead, she prepared for this, and this is how she performed. This is remarkable, isn't it? Here we go.
What weaknesses do you bring to the table, and how do you plan to overcome them while you're in office?
That's a great question, Joe. Well, I am certainly not perfect, so let's start there. And I think that perhaps a weakness, some would say, but I actually think it's a strength, is I really do value having a team of very smart people around me who bring to my decision-making process different perspectives. My team will tell you I am constantly saying, let's kick the tire on that. Let's kick the tires on it.
What is she talking about? What's your greatest weakness, and how do you plan on working on it? My greatest weakness is I like to seek advice from my counselors, the people on my advisors. Some people say it's a strength. What strength? What are you doing? What are you talking about? I mean, my gosh, what is this? She has no weakness. My only regret is that I have no regrets. Is basically what she said. I have no weakness. Let me tell you my strengths. Wow, she took the day off to study for this. Here's another one. The question is, was Kamala's town hall a disaster from what you've seen? And would she have been better off to just maybe go on the campaign trail and read the script and hide out? Here is the wall. Why didn't you do this stuff where the border is supposedly being more secured or people aren't being let in as much right now? Why didn't you do that 3-4 years ago when you first took over?
I bring a whole set of different experiences to this job and the way I think about it than Joe Biden.
Some voters, though, might ask, you've been in the White House for 4 years. You were vice president, not the president. But why wasn't any of that done in the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done. And I'm not going to shy away from saying, hey, these are still problems that we need to fix.
I'm here to talk about things that haven't been done and need to be done. So you're here to talk about things that need to be done for 4 years that you haven't done. And you're going to do them now all of a sudden when you could have done them 4 years ago? You were put in charge of stemming the flow of the border. You were basically the border czar. You were sent to go talk to all the countries where they're flooding in from, which is 161 countries, and somehow get this to stop. And now you're going to fix it when you had 4 years, and you said, well, I'm going to fix what I didn't fix for 4 years. Vote for me. These are her answers. This is what she took all day off to study for. Gregory in Southlake. What's up, man? WBAP, hello.
Hey, Chris. Another just absolutely brilliant performance last night of nothing. No answers, nothing straight.
She took off the day for it. She studied hard.
Oh, yeah, I bet she studied really hard. I was thinking about something yesterday. You know how she said she worked at McDonald's? And when you and I hear McDonald's, we think, okay, Golden Arches, Big Mac restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm.
But has anybody checked to see if there's like a McDonald's bordello or strip club or liquor store or something like that out around there?
That's a fair question because the McDonald's Corporation says they have no records in the 80s. They somehow have no records. Second of all, the McDonald's in Alameda, California, where she may have worked, I think that's when she claims to have worked at, they will not answer anybody's calls. They have told all their employees not to respond to any questions, and they won't tell us anything. Snopes.com, which is a very leftist outlet, fact-checked it, and they actually said, we fact-checked it. We went to the McDonald's Corporation, as leftists that love Kamala and want to hump her leg. And we went to Kamala's campaign, and we reached out to that McDonald's, and nobody will call us back. And so on their leftist website, Snopes.com, to prove whether it's true or not, says it is undetermined because we have no proof.
Right, exactly. So when she says McDonald's, I mean, maybe it's a strip club or something like that. Maybe it's Willie Brown's house.
But you know what? They would not. Is his no? Willie Brown is not. If his middle name was McDonald, maybe Willie McDonald Brown. But I think his middle name is Money, or government money. But listen, real fast. I want to hear what you have to say, but give me 1 second. Listen, I think that I don't know if that wouldn't probably be a copyright infringement because it's nowhere near their product. You know, when you confuse the product by calling it McDonald's, if they had Golden Arches over the strip joint, that would be an issue. Now go ahead, or the liquor store. You know, McDonald's liquor store. Well, that's different. That's not. You know, go ahead, sir.
Right. No, it's just. I mean, she is just. I can't think of any other word to describe her but empty sock puppet. You know, she's a sock puppet for whatever cabal.
I don't think so. I just think she doesn't know. I was thinking about this today, really, for the first time, because it's really a cliche almost with her, whether she doesn't know what she's doing, and I think she literally. I know that she slept her way into Willie Brown's heart, and he appointed her all these places and helped her climb in the Democrat Party. I know she failed her first bar exam, then passed the second one. But and I know that she never worked a day in private enterprise, literally started right out of college working as an assistant DA and never worked for anything but public. But I do, and she was on Willie Brown, put her on state boards making $150,000 where she was supposed to go once a month, and she only went to like a quarter of them. And I know that she's the least present senator of any senators as far as votes. She didn't show up, didn't vote much at all. So I think that, you know, sleeping your way to get to the top in the first beginning of it, and then just graduating up and using the identity stuff and such, and being that far leftist was everything. But then once you get out of the California bubble, which is much easier to climb like that with what she does, because she does all that super leftist stuff. But then when she ran on the national circuit, even as a Democrat 4 years ago, she couldn't win even one state. She dropped out before South Carolina. And so that was her only national race. She failed horribly. And then now she was handpicked by Biden. And then 4 years later, she runs, but she doesn't run where she gets fleshed out. So this is it. I mean, it's really that bad. She's never been tested on the national stage other than failing miserably. Sorry, go ahead with your last comment.
The other thing is I can't wait for somebody to get her in an interview and ask her, when she says Trump is a fascist, for her to define fascist.
Well, I'd like to ask her if Trump's a fascist. That's good. But also, I'd like to say, if Trump's a fascist, why are Tammy Baldwin and what's the guy in Pennsylvania, the Democrat senator running, and there's the one and Slotkin.
Yeah, but they've all
listen, and Slot. Listen, hold on, and Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin running for U.S. Senate, who's a liberal. Bob Casey in Pennsylvania is a senator. That's the one I thought about. And then in Michigan, Slotkin. They're all running for Senate, and they all have put Trump in their campaign ads. So why are they putting a fascist in their campaign ad? Is what I would ask. Right. I think that'd be even worse than your question. For her to answer.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you look at the definition of fascist and compare it to everything the Democrats have been doing, so the Biden-Harris administration has been doing for the last 4 years, okay, they meet the definition. And last thing,
real
as
fast,
you were saying before, she has zero accomplishments compared to Trump, who's built cities and done all this other great stuff. I mean, she's a zero. She's a sock puppet. waiting for somebody to stick a hand up her and get her to speak whatever words they ventriloquize into her.
I appreciate your call, my friend. You're a good caller. There's just nothing someone said on the voting trail. I think it was somebody you wouldn't expect to be against her. Somebody on the voting trail, one of the people, man on the street things or something in a swing state said, imagine her in a room trying to work with Putin. Like Putin would eat her alive. I mean, this woman can't. She's you know how she works. She's going to go back, seek her counsel, and then make some incompetent decision that's far worse and incompetent and bizarre and defeating for us, you know, with their advice to then overrule this piece, take that piece, overrule this piece, and it'll be more of a disaster because she literally didn't go all the way this way or that way, regardless of which way she would go, towards a leftist or a right. It's going to be a disaster. Her policy is going to be a Picasso of far leftism and stuff that's going to be far leftism puzzle pieces, and then the rest of it's going to be like a Democrat, like a Joe Biden, who was a pretty far left Democrat, and then a little piece of a weird thing in here that's like, what are you doing that with that doesn't even make any sense, even if I was on your side and I was on the left. You're going to see a Picasso policy decisions on the fly that are going to be disastrous for her, for us, and she won't go above like 40 or 38% of approval rating within the first 6 months, and it's going to stay that way until it's just going to be a disastrous train wreck within 6 months to a year. I do believe that, and it's going to be, nobody's going to be happy. I mean, look at the Arab vote. It's 2 points for Trump over 2 points favoring Trump over her right now with Arabs. That blows me away. It was never that way. You probably can't find a Democrat that wasn't beating a Republican in the presidential races for 20, 30 years. More. It's remarkable. It's amazing. Okay, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, I think we got all the stuff in there for her. Coming up next, the Texas AG, of course, Ken Paxton, suing the Biden-Harris administration for not verifying citizenship of 450 potentially ineligible illegals, possibly ineligible and illegal voters. This is quite the lawsuit and quite the story today. We're going to get into that coming up next, and I'm going to ask you this. Do you want to find out if almost 500,000 potentially ineligible voters may be on our voter rolls right now? Are you okay with forcing these voters to prove citizenship if the Harris-Biden administration won't let us? That's the big deal. They don't have driver licenses, so we don't know if they're citizens. 800-288-WBAP is our number. I'm okay. Literally saying, look, you need to provide proof of citizenship when you come in that would establish something. And I want you to check, producer Garrett, when we hit the pause here for a sec, if I know the state driver license in Texas makes you prove citizenship, which I'm grateful for, but does the state ID make you prove citizenship? That'll be an interesting one, because if it does, then we can just say it has to be a state ID or a government ID, unless you've been on the rolls for more than 10 years, something like that. I don't know, something that's going to be reasonable, but this liberals still try to kill it, but that's okay. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. That is coming up in 2 minutes at 9:51 on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3, 800-288-9227. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. This is the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Make that a preset. Okay. I'm going to play one more piece, then we go right to your call. We have Dave in Plano and then Roy in Dallas. Back to okay, we have 2 minutes. I'll play it coming up next. Let's go right to their calls. Dave in Plano, WBAP. What do you got?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
Welcome.
I think I have an angle on all this, Kamala, why you're seeing this kind of word salad and just a lack of competence and even answering questions, much less coming up with policies. I don't think she wants the job. I mean, anybody that
Sorry, go ahead.
going for a big job, they have to know that they've got to show they want it. And somebody that has been faced with the same question over and over and over again and takes a day to get ready and can't perform, I don't think she wants the job. I think she wants to skate out of this thing. She didn't want to be the vice president to begin with. She couldn't run a campaign to even get any of the delegate votes. There's no indication here that she has the can do, but she absolutely does not have the want to.
I think, yeah.
Otherwise, a brilliant person or somebody smart enough to be the president of the United States ought to be able to figure out, what it is they need to do to show that she deserves the job, and she is not doing that.
First of all, Dave, you're a fantastic caller, and I wanted to also say, really, the way you come across, but the other thing I wanted to say here is very important to respond to you. I think she does want the job, but I think she's always graduated up by this is who she is. She's notoriously, her staff has a 92% overturn rate in her vice president's office over the past 4 years. And a lot of her staff rips the heck out of her, saying that she's lazy, she doesn't want to do the work. And so she's basically very lazy. This is who she is. And this is how she is. So I think she just is this way. Not that she wants it, but just is this way. Roy in Dallas, you got 25 seconds. Go.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said to the last caller, but I was wondering, what's the deterrent for the voters that they're coming in, okay, say illegal voter, illegal alien, standing in line, what's the deterrent not to go and vote? There's nothing at the door that says you cannot come in here unless you're a registered American citizen.
Yes, I think that we should have proof of citizenship when you vote, and that's what we were trying to get. So I think you're right, and I think it should be in Spanish, in whatever the second most secondary language is, beyond, and English. I appreciate your call. It's a great idea. Have a sign out there at the polls that says it, and have a sign when you go to the front there. And there was a lady that was put her hand up and wouldn't even let me approach if I didn't show her ID, and she looked like the kind that was a Democrat. And she probably thinks it's racist to ask for ID. Here she is putting her hand up like she's stopping with a stop sign, and it was really made me so upset, but I didn't act that way. I jumped back and made a huge drama, and people were laughing because it was like, woman, you're an idiot. But I did it in a way that everybody's laughing because it's like, you are an absolute fool. What do you think, this is inner city Dallas, an area that cheats a lot, and you're paranoid? Get out of here, woman. It ain't that crap. What's wrong with you? Go somewhere else. Go to a dirty Democrat Dallas poll where nobody's looking in South Dallas. Get out of here with that treatment of me. Okay, coming up next, we continue. I'm going to give you the legal details. We are suing the Biden administration for not helping us to figure out if they're illegal. Almost 500,000 voters. Callie in Burleson on Kamala last night, and I'm going to play more from her town hall. One more that's really, really good coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288 WBAP is our number. That's all coming up at 3 minutes after 10.